Welcome already to another edition of WCW 2005 here in TEW 2020. And before we get to the show, which is of course the beginning of the Mayhem Tournament, as we're done with Bash at the Beach and moving on the road to Mayhem, it's time to go over the last couple of awards here. So these last two awards are just two more wacky ones, just to see how people feel. So first we have just a poll saying which show do you prefer, Nitro or Revolution. Again, comment if there's anything specific, and just entering to see obviously my booking for each show isn't totally different, but there is different as the women's division, cruiserweight division. Nitro's a little more storyline oriented, but yeah, anyway. And then also I have, just sort of for fun, the internet would think I'm not pushing this guy enough award, which I've put Alex Wright, Kaz, Keenan Sharpe, Paul, and Interior in here. I thought about putting Lance Storm in here, but he's part of the top stable and he's the TV title, so there would be people, but that's beyond the point. And of course, every other award is still up, so, if you're still haven't voted, I'm probably going to keep this open till Monday. And then go over the awards. Honestly, most awards aren't close enough that a ton of votes would matter. So if somebody gets in after I do my recording for the video on Monday, it's not the end of the world. But there's still a couple close things here that could shift if some people get their votes in. But it's pretty clear what people like or like more. But anyway, on to the actual show. Okay, I lied slightly. Just to remind people how the tournament works for the Mayhem Tournament, it's 31 men because Palumbo gets a bye, but it's 31 men, and then they advance week by week until a finals. Well, the quarterfinals will be at the pay-per-view along with then a four-way ladder match where the winner will get, basically the, called shot where they can get a title shot whenever they want. And, because of the split in the shows, there's basically Nitro brackets and Revolution brackets, and those brackets will meet up at the pay-per-view. So every pay-per-view match will be a, Nitro versus Revolution, which should be, a bit of a draw. But, we've got 4 big matches as part of the tournament here tonight, so let's get rolling. And basically, the announcers put that over as we start the show, live from the beautiful, Hemisphere Arena in San Antonio, Texas. As this opener gets a 59, it's just the announcers talking, sort of what I expected. But then we go to our opening, as of all people, Mark Jindrak comes down to the ring, and it says he is magnificent. Mark Jindrak, he has the best body in professional wrestling, and he's going to show everyone why he's going to rule this ring by showing that he was the best natural born thriller by kicking Sean O'Haire's ass. Out comes Sean O'Haire. He says, Mark, yours will fool yourself, and tonight I'm going to prove why I'm the best. I'm not going to be the top guy in this business when I kick your ass. So this gets an 80. Perfectly solid stuff here, as Jindrak is more over than you'd think. And then we go on to our first round match, which is, not exactly, it's a pretty good match here, but honestly, the finish is really never in doubt. Jindrak does get some power spots in, gets to look impressive, hits a few suplexes, big lariat, try go for his finisher, but O'Haire gets out of it. And then O'Haire dominates, big lariat, power slam, another one. Jindrak's, stumbling around. O'Haire picks him up. Widowmaker right in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. And Sean O'Haire advances into the second round of the Mayhem Tournament. This gets a 77, solid opener. O'Haire gets a 78. Jindrak gets a 74, which is, again, a lot better than I thought. Match got the crowd hotter as the entrance put over, O'Haire's looking to regain his world title. And this is the first step on his journey as O'Haire celebrates to a 70. The entrance also put over. It's a big 6-man involving people who will be in matches next week in the tournament, as Goldberg, the Truth Gigantes, takes on the superstar team of Shane Helms, Eddy Guerrero, and Jeff Jarrett. We move forward to the backstage segment where Reckless Roberts is with Tracy, basically putting themselves over. Last night they proved, why he's the best cruiserweight in the business right now, and he's going to be a rising star, and nobody can stop him now that he has a sister beside him. Matt Sydal steps in and says basically, Roberts, Tracy, you fooled me. Well, you fooled Aries, but you never fooled me. But I was in your way when you took that title in the ladder match. But I'm coming back for my title sooner or later. There's a bit of stare down as, 47, as we try to continue to build this cruiserweight division. Then we go backstage where, of course, Jeremy Borash is with Kanyon. Kanyon, admits, last night was rough. He, came this close to becoming world champion again. But that was the past. He's got to move on. Kidman's still the champion, and he thanks, Rey Jr. and AMW for showing up to stop, the Triumvirate from basically putting him on the ground. But now it's time for the Mayhem Tournament. He never won this, but he knows this is his way to get back to the title shot. And hey, Jason Jett, you want to be famous? I kicked your ass a couple weeks ago, now I'm going to kick your ass again and remind you that nobody's better than Kanyon. He walks away. 87, good promo from Kanyon, putting over, the tournament and his big match against Jason Jett later tonight. And then we go backstage, basically, the baby faces, Goldberg comes in along with Truth, Brother and Gigantes, who are sort of our wacky babyface team battling with Chosen Few. Brother Rey say he's ready to, kick ass and take names against Simply Johnny Devine, and he wishes, Goldberg all the luck in the world, even though there's a bit of a face-off as they've, had a big match a couple months ago at the beginning of the year. And Goldberg and Gigantes have also had a couple matches, but, Goldberg says he's ready for Chosen Few to be next, along with Shane Helms and whoever's put in front of him, even as one of you guys. So there's a little bit of tension here, but basically, Truth does a funny rap, and we move on. 82, solid stuff, because, these guys aren't the best promo. Well, Brother Day is actually pretty solid, and Bill Goldberg's super over, but, basically puts over the baby faces as a face-off against a big team later tonight. And then we have our next match in the tournament, as this is a back-and-forth match, and surprisingly, Alex Wright is not at ringside for Tori Wilson. Tori Wilson is not at ringside for Alex Wright, or Randy Savage is. And this is a solid match, and, Wright looks good, and he looks like he, actually gets out of submissions, does some strong suplexes, does some, a bit of a brawling, but Frye eventually, Savage distracts a little bit, he actually brawls with Wright on the outside. Wright, basically it becomes a bit of a 2-on-1, and that's too much, as Frye eventually locks in the Dragon Sleeper, and with nowhere to go, Alex Wright has to submit. This gets a 69, Don Frye gets a 67, Alex Wright gets a 76, as Frye moves on in the Mayhem Tournament. And then Wright, gets up, is pissed, and he pushes the ref away as he checks on him, as, the crowd gives a mixed reaction, as this gets a 68. Then we go backstage, where Jeremy Borash is with the Hart Legacy, who actually do a lot better than I thought they were going to do. Basically, he asks them, they're usually a team, but now they're both in the Mayhem Tournament. Are you ready to face off against each other eventually? And, what are you looking for as far as next week? And, Teddy Hart says, basically, it'd be, if he and Jack are both in the, get that from the tournament, that it's a great day, whoever wins, but, we're stronger together. We're basically family, and we're going to prove, we're going to make sure the Hart Legacy burns bright as we go forward into the main tournament. Jack Evans, basically gets a quick little babyface promo, gets them screaming from the girls, as he says, I got a tough match next week against somebody who nobody says I have a shot again, because he's a former U.S. champion. He's a lot bigger than me. Well, it's not size of the dog in the fight, size of the fight in the dog. And Jonathan Toro, you haven't been around a while, so you've maybe missed what we've been doing, but I'm ready to take you on. 77, actually a decent promo from these guys as they put over their big singles matches next week. And then you have the heels backstage, and this is basically a bit of a mutual admiration society with some tension. Chosen Few, Jarrett is hyping up Devine to, get a big upset against, that dumbass Brother Rey. And, he goes over to Jindrak to stop nuts. You could have advanced tonight, but you need to be more focused. Yeah, you got the body of a Greek god, but sometimes you got the brain of an idiot. You got a brain of a friggin' chihuahua in there. Focus. And then, Eddie, Helms, alongside Tomko show up. And, basically, Helms says, we're going to be the most talented six-man in the history of WCW tonight. All three of us have been world champions. All three of us have been at the top of their game. And even though we're not aligned tonight, we can kick Brother Rey's, we can kick the teeth, we can kick Goldberg's teeth down his throat, take apart Gigantes once and for all, and remind what is truly the truth to Ron Killings. Eddie agrees in his essay. Next week, it's Mayhem Tournament for each of us, and we all got battles. But tonight, it's about reminding everybody why we're the best in this business, regardless of who thinks otherwise. So, heels are getting along a bit, but this gets a 92 as we move forward. And then we have that match as Devine basically, walks out. And unfortunately for him, he gets his ass kicked. He gets a little bit of offense in, via cheering, doing some high flying. But Brother Rey's one of the, top guys on the show. And Johnny Devine is Johnny Devine. Not the worst thing, but not the best thing ever. I thought they were involved in the storyline. That's interesting. I'd have to double check that. But regardless, like, simple little match here. Devine gets a little bit of offense in, but eventually Brother Ray takes over. Eventually hits the, I guess, Brother Bomb. I forget what they call it in TNA. But regardless, he eventually gets the win. Pinfall victory, gets a 69. Brother Ray gets a 79. Devine gets a 64. And then he takes the mic and says, "Next week, Jeff Jarrett, you're fighting my man, The Truth. And here's the thing. You'd think I want to face you, but no. I want The Truth to win that match next week. So me and him can have a barn burner and kick each other's ass and then walk away. Still allies. But hey, if you somehow get a win, like you tend to do, I'm ready to remind everybody that I can kick your ass, and I'm a fighter from the streets, and you've always had somebody backing you up in this business. Whether it's your daddy, whether it's Russo, whether it's your blazing chosen few now. But when you get in that ring next week, it's just going to be me and you." So 76, decent promo, basically setting up, the possible matches in the future for him in the Mayhem Tournament. Then we actually see Tori Wilson backstage as she's basically, talking to Chavo and saying, "I just don't know what's up with Alex. Like, I'm busy with Keith over on Revolution, and maybe I should focus more on him, but like, he had a couple of losses. That happens to everybody in this business. And look, you guys used to team up, so maybe, I know you're doing your own thing now, but can you maybe talk some sense to him?" And Chavo's like, "I'll try my best, but look, man, he's a focused, really intense athlete. And when he gets this way, I'm not sure how much you can really do for him. You just got to let it happen." And, Tori says, "Well, still, at least see how he's doing." Chavo agrees, and we move on. This gets a 55. Fun little angle, just put over the fact that, that Tori's worried about Alex Wright. Chavo and Alex Wright used to be partners, and there we go, 55. Solid stuff. And then we're backstage where Eric Bischoff actually walks into the locker room and finds Roman Legionnaires, Romeo Lafurnius, and Swimmer Pomponius. And he basically says, "Look, your leader, Toro, is booked for a match next week, but I've not seen him in friggin' weeks." And I've been loose about that because, wrestlers are wrestlers. But is your man going to be here? And, like, Romeo begins, over the top defense of his buddy, but Swinger steps and says, "Look, Bischoff, we haven't heard from him either. He said he was going to fight some new battles, and that's the last time we saw. So, look, I hope he shows up because he's our leader, but I can't promise you anything, man." So, some Trouble in Paradise, 61 as you move forward. Then we have sort of honestly, this could have been our main event. Like, this will probably be better than our 6-man main event, but maybe not. See, I was worried about this match because they only had, wow, okay. I mean, honestly, great friggin' match. Like, the story here is that, Kanyon had a very tough world title match last night, so he's a little bit beaten down, so Jett can take the early advantage. And, even though he had a match last week, it wasn't a world title match. And also, he didn't get his ass kicked for a couple of minutes before Rey and AEW showed up by the Triumvirate. So, Jett gets the early advantage. Kanyon fights back, but, it's a little slower. And the announcers put over the fact that this could be the moment for Jason Jett to get the huge upset win over a beleaguered Kanyon. But unfortunately for Jason Jett, Kanyon is Kanyon. And he eventually goes for his, modified crash landing. Kanyon gets out of it, hits a few big moves. Hits the flatliner for a near fall. Kanyon fights back, goes for a modified cradle pile driver. Kanyon gets out of it, hits a few more moves. Jett gets offense again after cheating, goes for a springboard, and Kanyon turns that into the Kanyon cutter. 1, 2, 3, and advances in the tournament here. As it gets an 89. Kanyon gets a 96 because he's awesome, and Jason Jett gets a 68. And Kanyon celebrates that gets a 70, as the announcers put over 4 big wins for Kanyon, Sean O'Hare, Brother Ray, and Don Frye tonight as they move into the second round of the Mayhem Tournament. And then we have a quick backstage statement where basically Ric Flair is putting over his boys saying, "Look, woo, we are done with Tolan and LePan. We're going to move on to bigger and better things, more fish to fry. And you're the youngest, most awesome talent in wrestling today, and you got me to lead me. Woo! That means there's nothing you can do." So just sort of promo putting over his new boys as this gets a 74 because Ric Flair took cutting a promo. And then basically a quick, buy the replay. for Bash at the Beach, and then we have our main event. Okay, yeah, that's sort of what I expected. Not the best match here, but it's it was also probably a little short, so that's probably didn't help matters, but not the end of the world here. As basically the story of this match is, the Truth is a good brawler, Goldberg's Goldberg, and Gigantes is a big guy, but the heels are not a well-oiled machine so much as they're just three of the most talented wrestlers in the business. So they can, pick apart Gigantes bit by bit, get some offense in on Goldberg, unlike others, and, battle back against the Truth. And eventually there's a bit of a breakdown. Goldberg's going after Eddy on the outside because, they're still fighting. Helms hits a big dive on Gigantes, taking him down. And then, of course, Titus interferes again, hitting a big boot on Gigantes from behind and hitting him with sort of a gut-wrench powerbomb on the outside while the ref is distracted. And while the ref is trying to get Eddy and Goldberg to stop fighting on the outside, here comes the guitar, whack, the stroke, pinfall victory as Jeff Jarrett gets a victory over the Truth via unheard tactics. As the answers go over this, that happens next week. Jeff Jarrett will move on to the second round as this gets an 80. Gigantes gets a 51, Truth gets a 75, Goldberg gets a 92, Helms gets an 84, Jarrett gets an 85, and Eddy gets a 94. So, let's see here. Yeah, and basically Gigantes being in this match and it being a little short is probably what hurt it here. But solid stuff as we move forward. And of course, the fight continues, including your friend and mine, Jindrak and Brother Rey coming out to continue the brawl as the announcers put over all 8 of these men. 7 of these 8 men have a shot to become the Mayhem Tournament winner. And it'll continue next week before WC officials break it up. And there we go. So overall, the show itself gets us a 86. Okay, so still a really good show. Ending Keenan Jett, really, and honestly, the matches are better because, no random cruiserweight match or a squash or something like that. But still, a really solid show. This gets us an 86 as we move forward. And I'm just going to see if this, goes regular before we look over what's happening in Nitro and then move on to Revolution. All right, so not bad. Okay, Stacy Keibler's back. Eddy, thanks, best. Hey, good job, Eddy. And Arn, she's a manager, Arn. So, for TV rating, we got a 2.85, and Raw got a 3.11. And their show had CM Punk in the pre-show defeating Rikishi, Shaniqua defeating Elizabeth Love, Jackie Ivory, JBL, and the Outcast team of T-Con, Randy Orton, and the Little Fellas in 84. Lots of interviews. The Undertaker defeated Ron Roman in 90. Molly Holly defeated Veronica Vane in 84. Good job. The former Scott Steiner defeated Vampiro in a tables match in 82. And the main event, Brock Lesnar and Big Show defeated Angle and Gunn. So nothing too fancy there. The Miz is your new PWU champion. Okay, sure. Independent Wrestling, Harris Brothers, no. Adam Jacobs and yeah, interesting. Outside of that, I'm just looking them over some random stuff. Okay, yeah, it's an indie show. Same thing here, yeah. All right, so I'll be back in just a second with Revolution. All right, it's time for Revolution as we start the show off with, of course, what you expect after the beginning of last month, or at the end of the last pay-per-view, as Billy Kidman, Lance Storm, Mike Awesome all come out, all of their title belts, no tag titles, but still TV, US, and World Champion, and Kidman crows about that for a moment, saying, "At Bash at the Beach, I prove once again I am the best wrestler in this business, and this belt right here proves it." But that's not what's really important. What's really important was what happened at the end of the show, when we were showing everybody how dominant we are. When 3 SOBs stuck their nose in business where it does not belong. Cue 619 in sky, Biaka, Biaka. Out comes Rey Jr. out with AMW, and Rey Jr. takes the mic and says, Billy, what you don't understand is that was my business, because I should have been the man in that world title match. Holding that title, because I would have beat you. But you and your buddies attacked me in that parking lot. And I know that, and you know that, even if I can't prove it. But hey, that's fine. That's this business. But now I'm better. I'm 100%, I'm totally cleared. So at Mayhem, I'm going to take that title off of you the way I should have 6 weeks ago. Kim fires back. Rey, you keep on thinking that, but look, I've gone beyond you so long ago. You thought you were king of cruiserweights, I kicked your ass. I became US champion. I became world champion, and you haven't. Just a minute, Rey. You're on here, because you sell the mask to the idiot kids, and that's about it. You'll never be at the top of this business, because you don't have you can't do it. You don't have the size, you don't have the skill, and you're not me. And you got backup tonight, you won't always have that. And rather, we are going to continue the dominant division, because we are the elite force in WCW. AW says, Storm, awesome. Sorry about your damn luck, but we're kicking your ass, and we're going to earn our tag title shot back. So, confrontation, got some more feuds going on, and we have basically a main event set up for Mayhem, which I will book actually right now. As it gets an 87, and then we move on to the first of our Mayhem Tournament matches. Wow, holy shit. This was a lot better. I mean, honestly, this could have been, considering what our main event is, this could have been our main event. Jesus Christ. Okay. These guys went out and put out a banger. By the way, we're in Pittsburgh. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, 88 is just good wrestling interaction from the crowd. Okay. What the hell? What happened here that this was this good? Hot crowd. Dusty was good. Okay. Just these guys, they did good. Wow. Okay. Anyway, what happens here is basically, good, very good matches. Kanyon flies around, plays the underdog heel, scratching, clawing. Anderson, does his brawling and his, stick, doing some hit suplexes. But Booker eventually comes down to ringside, and that distracts Cash just long enough for Anderson to take advantage and able to hit the Kenton bomb to pick up the pinfall victory after a little under 14 minutes. As your winner, and advancing to the second round is none other than Ken Anderson. As this gets an 88, like I said, Ken Anderson gets a 67, Cash gets an 84. And then post-match, we have a quick face-off between Booker and T and Cash, as Cash is upset, but Booker's like, I was just out here. What do you think, sucker? As Cash, looks like he's going to go after Booker, but after a moment, just backs away with a sneer and then walks to the back. And then we have a bit of a video package here, as basically, we say European Union are in Europe, and they're wrestling, even though they're not really. But this is a good gimmick. Basically, they're saying they're going to local shows and proving how dominant they are as the best tag team in women's wrestling today. And they still have ice in their veins, and whatever whelps and for our lines get in their way, we will dominate them, stretch them, and break them. 83, just reminding, hey, there's European Union still around. They're still the tag team champions. Just sort of a weird moment into the women's tag division. But this gets an 83, as Call is really good, even though her gimmick is getting stale, which, honestly, I'll deal with in a minute here. But then we have a really fun stuff, as Paul Heyman comes down with Rob Van Dam, and he says, as Rob Van Dam's advocate, I realized that if I did not do something, he would likely not be involved in much this month due to the horrible way he lost that four-way match a couple weeks ago because of obvious bias against him. But I talked to the officials, and I sold them something to make sure that one of their best and most popular talents that drew them a lot of money was on television every single week. So I would like to announce the grand beginning to the Van Dam Invitational. Rob Van Dam, the best wrestler on the planet today, will fight new young wrestlers and give them a shot on national TV. So bring out the first opponent. And Van Dam just looks cocky and points to himself as it gets an 82. Out comes Rob Van Dam's first opponent, local wrestler Gran Akuma. and Grand Kuma kills him in 4 minutes. Like, Akuma gets a little bit of offense in, but this is basically just a way to put over Rob Van Dam. You know, he is cocky. He's, you know, obviously acting more like a heel, but he's still, like, doing most of the stuff that he just does as Rob Van Dam, top babyface. So he's still getting, like, mostly cheers. Like, there's still some crowd, like, booing him because he's with Van Heyman, but a lot of the crowd doesn't really know, you know, so they're still cheering him because he hasn't done anything wrong yet. He just has an asshole for manager. This gets a 51 because Grand Akuma gets a 14, but Rob Van Dam gets an 86 because he robbed fucking Van Dam, and that's the match. Like, this is just, again, this is honestly sort of what it says. Is like, I need a way to get Van Dam on TV while he's not involved in the tournament. Then post-match, Rob Van Dam, you know, celebrates, you know, points himself cocky as this gets a 68, and, like, sort of, not really mockingly, but, like, you know, helps Akuma up, sort of, like, stops him on the back patronizingly, and then, like, goes back to celebrating as this gets a 68, and we move forward. And then we go backstage where Amy Weber is with still your tag team champions, the Hardys. And, you know, they basically say, you know, we proved at Bash at the Beach what happened, you know, wasn't a fluke. Helms, I hope you get over yourself sooner or later because you used to be a good kid. But now, you know, we proved we're the best tag team of our generation. We've won titles everywhere we go. And we're looking forward to any challenge, whoever we may face at Mayhem. As it gets an 85, you know, Amy also asked a question about, like, the Mayhem Tournament, and Jeff says, you know, that would have been nice, but I'm with my brother now, and we're focused on these belts. So 85, solid stuff, solid little babyface promo. And then, wow, okay. Shelton Benjamin, good wrestler. AJ Styles, great fucking wrestler. And yeah, that's basically, it's AJ Styles and Shelton Benjamin, the match that would have been freaking great in 2005 between these guys. You know, Benjamin's still not quite at the level he is popularity-wise that he was at this time, I think. Mid-2000s sort of blend together. It's almost 20 years ago, Jesus Christ. Anyway, but suplexes from Shelton as he looks strong, but Styles fights back. You know, Benjamin looks like impressive, even gets a near fall off a big sort of like flurry of German suplexes, followed by a sort of like rolling reverse cradle with a big bridge, but Styles kicks out, eventually takes over, hits a few big moves, hits the big forearm, hits sort of SI moonsault, and then eventually hits the big Styles clash. That's Spiral Top, Jesus Christ. In a little over 14 minutes, he gets a pinfall victory here. You know, straightforward match. Shelton gets to look really strong, and you answer to put him really over as a future star. But AJ Styles is AJ Styles, and he gets a pinfall victory here. This gets an 81. AJ gets a 94. Shelton Benjamin gets a 63. And post-match, there's a handshake as the answers again put over Styles, as it may be his time, but maybe Shelton's time sooner than you think, as this gets a 67. Fun little stuff, and really good match. And then we go backstage where Chuck Palumbo and Raven Rain are in their locker room, and Ken Anderson walks in, and he puts his hand and says, "Don't worry, I don't want to kick your ass. You know, don't want to get in a fight, even though I would win. But I just came here to remind you, to give you a little warning here, Chuck. You see, you think you're special. You got advanced that tournament, but I came in here to do one things: kick ass and win titles. And you're not my way, so sorry, buddy. You just have to get kicked out of the tournament next week." And Palumbo just sort of laughs and says, "Who the hell do you think you are?" Anderson says, like, and Anderson fires back, "The winner of the Mayhem Tournament, buddy." And he walks away. And Raven just sort of like rips Palumbo's shoulders and says, "Don't worry about that idiot." 86, and sort of like, you know, puts over the, you know, match next week not next week, but in a couple weeks between them. And then we have a big 6-woman tag match as Tricia Skye teams up with the Social Scene to take on the entirety of Captivation. As this is a fun little, like, tag match. Gets an 81 because all these women are, like, here's the thing, is like, because they've been spending so much time in Dev, they're all like this match was actually called in the ring, and it was still really good. As, you know, back and forth match, eventually Tricia and Lizzie start brawling on the back. The other heels take over. Angel Fox then hits Fox Trap, is that what I named her finisher? If people remember, but Fox 10. Something with Fox. Anyway, she eventually hits her big finisher and actually gets the pinfall victory over Nikki Radcliffe after some, you know, shenanigans. But the big win for the heels here as Tricia and Lizzie continue to brawl. As this gets an 81, Lexi James gets a 59, Angel Fox gets a 71, Lizzie James gets a 69, Nikki Radcliffe gets a 56, Annie Vidal gets a 63, and Tricia Skye gets an 84. And post-match, eventually the heels, like, you know, Angel and Lexi take down the rest of the Social Scene. Tricia tries to fight 3-on-1. Eventually, the heels take advantage, put her on a table. Lizzie goes up to the top rope and moonsault through a table on the outside as she just totally taking apart the WCW World Women's Champion. 81, good angle as, we further this storyline for the women's title. And then we go backstage, or not backstage, but we go where Keith Walker is in his fighting pit, sort of his training ground, taking apart some random guy. When Jamie Knoble basically enters the building, pushes past some random, other young trainee, and gets in and goes face to face with Walker and says, "Look, boy, I am not going to get punked out by some guy who I don't even know in this tournament. So this is just a warning. Don't step to me. Don't show up next week, because I'm refocused and I'm ready to destroy anybody who gets in my way. All right, son?" And Walker just sort of stares at him as Tori Wilson stops him from getting in a fight. As Joe walks away, Tori sort of says to Keith, just offhandedly, "Look, if he's acting like that, that's all part of the plan. That's all part of our strategy, okay?" As Walker looks angry. So again, doing a little bit of a setup for the matches next week as this gets a 70. Fun stuff. And then we have our main event, which, should not have been the main event, unfortunately. I forgot to add a storyline. That's what I did. Okay. Yeah, there should have been probably an 85 if I would remember to attach a storyline. But there was no storyline, so that makes sense. Anyway, very good match. These guys go almost 20 minutes. London did his flying, but Sharpe continually slows him down, takes him to the mat. But eventually, London fires back and actually reverses it, does his own holds, and goes to fire back, shot for shot with Sharpe. But eventually, London does get the advantage. He hits sort of a big flying move, and he goes up for the shooting star press, and that is where Keenan Sharpe strikes as he plays possum. He gets his knees up, locks London in a hold in the middle of the ring, and with nowhere to go, Paulin has to submit, and Keenan Sharpe advances in the tournament. As this gets an 80, Sharpe gets a 75, Paulin gets a 93, but didn't whine about jobbing, which is good. But a very big win here for Keenan Sharpe as he advances into the second round. And post-match, Sharpe celebrates as the announcers put over a big moment for him as it gets a 63. And then our show ender is basically, as the announcers putting this over, they say we got news of a big fight in the back. As basically we have, everybody involved in the opening there, fighting, as the officials try to break them up. And Teddy Long gets involved, says, "Playa, this is no Battle Republic. I run the show, and you're not going to cause chaos. But next week, if you want to cause chaos, so be it. Next week, all 6 of you men, 6-man tag team match players. Are you ready?" So we have big 6-man set up for next week, as this gets a 95. And overall, the show itself gets an 85. Good stuff. Yeah. Honestly, if that Anderson Cash match would have been the main event, maybe London Sharpe would have been the opener, that could have been almost a 90 show. But, not the end of the world. It could have been a lot worse, honestly. They could have not clicked, even though I think they fought, way back. But yeah. Fun stuff. As this loads up. Okay, any emails? Oh, holy shit. Okay, Ray Jr.'s on the gas. I mean, he's... Okay, this is absolutely hilarious that he does this weight gain because he's now getting moved to the main event. That is absolutely fucking hilarious. That is... Sometimes this game gets it. It's not perfect, and obviously it has its issues, but sometimes this game, that has some great timing. Okay. Interesting. So if we look at SmackDown, anyway, moving on. Oh yeah, just as a quick look, storyline wise, we have Against the Darkness, which is still going on, 71. Carolina in the Blood, which is sort of our tag feud, which I'll figure out as 88. Chosen Backgrounds is at an 83. Cruiser Stuff's at an 50. Oh, I guess I forgot to add Divine back to this. Okay, Evolution is a Mystery is at a 71. Expensive Taste is at an 84. Canyon's Revenge is at a 91. Top Guy Stuff's at an 88. And After Fit is at an 86. Casino Disorder is at a 59. Understudies at a 67. Noble Strikes Back as... Okay, I might actually just end this storyline and reboot it because there's no point to this being this low. New Rivals is at an 85. Old Rivals at a 78. Is this just because... Yeah, I'm sure I just forgot. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Anyway, sorry. Old Rivals at a 78. Revolution Rising is at an 85. And Rey Jr.'s Revenge is at an 86. Fun stuff. Then if we go to WWE, they had SmackDown. And SmackDown had Christian versus Funaki on Random 92, because of course it was. Brock Lesnar killing Ron Waterman. Molly Holly defeating Shaniqua. Gauzer Bruiser defeating Scott Hall and Grind in 79. Regal defeating JBL in 96. Remember, JBL's a face now. Steiner defeating DDP in 81. And as Top Shelf explodes, wow, DDP is just done. And Triple H and Chris Jericho defeating Undertaker and Edge in a random 99. Fun stuff. If we go to our dev fed, NWA Wildside, NWA Wildside TV, Kenzo and Matt Morgan defeated Kurt Stallings and Brett Major. Interesting. Tony Jones defeated Austin Creed in a cage match. Adam Ortiz defeated Rain Man. Onyx, Raven, Rick Michaels defeated Lazarus Rhodes and Mountain by DQ in a 61. Then for the weekly house show, Ram 6-Man and Ortiz defeated Kenzo in a 54. Cassie Riley defeated Rain Man. And Jimmy Rave kept the Wildside Heavyweight title. Nothing too fancy there. And then for our women's dev fed, we had weekly show. We had Trace Taylor defeating Portia Perez in her debut. Annette Blanchard, ODB, and Michelle defeated Madison Eagles and the Mega Woman. We had Mischief defeating Amazing Kong in a 54. When we were getting there, Osaka defeated Carla Chambers in basically a training match. And Ariel defeated Becky Bayless to retain the AWQ Championship. If we look over to the HWA, Jorge Estrada defeated Dustin Lee. Okay. Excalibur and Barry Bradburn defeated Sean Daivari and Folly Baugh. Daivari and Baugh might be actually an interesting tag team eventually for WE. Andy Douglas defeated Darren Corbin, not Baron Corbin. And yeah, that's about it. That's all that matters. If we go to Ohio Valley Wrestling, they had their weekly loop, which included such things as Chuck Taylor and John Cena teaming up. Let's see here. Chantel Taylor defeated Sheriff Stock. Bradley and Pooter defeated Mafia and Danny Doring. And there we go. For the weekly loop again, Sean Casey defeated John Cena. Disciples of Sin defeated Haas and Shaggy 2-Dope. Lisa Velez made her debut, getting a 33. And yeah, that's about it for that. And then for their sort of like monthly big show, I think it is, Shaggy Deuce Hope faced John Cena. All some fun interviews about that eventually. Disciples of Sin defeated The Cell. Tommy Mamluk defeated Chuck Taylor. Interesting, fun match. Rob Conway defeated Too Tough Tony. And Bradley and Pewter defeated Mafia and Dory to retain the OVW tag titles. So interesting, they didn't even defend the tag titles here anyway. Then if we go to Impact Wrestling, they had their first Impact Wrestling. It got a really good rating, mainly because it was on Paramount. And that had Cora Colon defeated JD Lethal by DQ in a 34. Buff Bagwell defeated Derek Sparrow. John Shiver, which is Glacier, and Animal defeated The Miz and Roadkill. Sure. Mari Jannetty won the Impact X title over Amazing Red and David Flair. And Marcus Meltech, Jerry Sachs, and Rick Steiner defeated Quiet Storm and the Giants. And then the main event, Bam Bam retained the Impact Championship, going over Jason Cross, Jason Vex, whatever you want to call him. So 51-55 for them. Otherwise, I think that was it as far as big shows. I'm sure there's other people. Let's see here. Results, yeah. Let's see, Revolution, Weekly House Show, OVW, Deadlock, Bash at the Beach. Yeah, Guy had a big show, mainly by Toyota Suzuki getting 81, and then Acid Burn defeated the Omega Chicks in an 81, and then Yuya Azaki defeated Diego and Nakanishi. Meiko Satomura defeated Miyo Wakizawa. Kairo defeated Devil Masami. So, fun show for them. But, yeah, not much else going on. So, honestly, kind of a quick show. Quick video this week. Like, not a ton going on in the wider wrestling world. And with the tournament, like, things are a little more focused, like, in-ring wise. So, but hey, oh yeah, I can pull up the tournament here. Where are you? Tournaments, there we go. So far in the round of 16, it's Chuck Palmer versus Ken Anderson, To Be Decided versus Don Frye, To Be Decided versus Brother Ray, AJ Styles versus To Be Determined, Sharon O'Hara versus To Be Determined, Kanyon versus To Be Determined, and Keenan Sharpe versus To Be Determined. So, there we go. Well, the other half of the first round, of course, next week. Then we'll have the round of 16 the week after that, and then that'll set up, the big four matches at the pay-per-view, and then it'll be the four-way final at Mayhem. But that's it for now. If you enjoyed the show, go ahead and give it a like or comment below what you're liking and disliking. Go ahead and vote for the rest of the mid-year awards, or if you haven't yet. And just subscribe to the channel for plenty of other TEW 2020 content. This series, my Ring of Honor series, is coming back. We'll do some more Journey of Wrestling, and you'll do some basketball GM and some other fun stuff. But that's it for now, so talk to you later, and adios. Have a good one.